Welcome to CNN 10, your objective explanation of the day's news. I'm Carl Azus. U.S. President Donald Trump is scheduled to visit the border between America and Mexico today on the heels of two primetime addresses given earlier this week. One was from the Republican president, the other was from two leading Democrats in Congress. Both speeches concerned the issues of border security, immigration, and the partial shutdown of the U.S. government.
Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country. America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation. But all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. Our southern border is a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. Every week, 300 of our citizens are killed by heroin alone, 90% of which floods across from our southern border. In the last 2 years, ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of aliens with criminal records. Thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now. This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul. The federal government remains shut down for one reason, and one reason only, because Democrats will not fund border security. This is a choice between right and wrong.
Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump throughout this senseless shutdown has been full of misinformation and even malice. The fact is, President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people and withhold the paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation.
The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill, has shut down the government. So, how do we untangle this mess? Well, there's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security. The symbol of America should be the Statue of Liberty, not a 30-foot wall. So our suggestion is a simple one. Mr. President, reopen the government and we can work to resolve our differences over border security.
It doesn't look like either side is giving any ground here, so the partial government shutdown continues. 10-second trivia. Which of these countries shares part of China's eastern border? Thailand, Vietnam, India, or North Korea? The only one of these countries located along an eastern border of China is North Korea. Traveling by train, it takes about 13 hours to get from the Chinese capital of Beijing to the North Korean border. And that's a journey that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un started on Wednesday. He just wrapped up his third trip to Beijing within the past year and met with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Though a Chinese government spokesman said only that the two leaders were working toward upholding peace and stability on the Korean peninsula, a Chinese government-run newspaper says the visit reflects the close relationship between North Korea and China. It also said it hopes this relationship can be accurately understood by South Korea and the U.S., who've been rivals of North Korea.
It used to be said that the relationship between China and North Korea was as close as lips and teeth. China has always been North Korea's staunchest ally since Kim Jong-un's grandfather, Kim Il-sung, established the totalitarian state back in 1948. It has provided economic life support, ideological backing, and support for North Korea on the international stage. In return, Communist North Korea has served Beijing as a buffer between China and South Korea, saving China from the prospect of US troops on its land border. But the relationship has been fraying since Kim Jong-un assumed power in 2011. He has repeatedly angered Beijing with nuclear bomb and ballistic missile tests that led to a dangerous, potentially military confrontation with the United States. Beijing's calls for restraint and dialogue were largely ignored by Kim. Indeed, some of North Korea's tests looked like they were deliberately provocative to Beijing. But the recent frosty relations are starting to thaw. Diplomacy is now front and centre on the Korean peninsula. The isolated Kim needs the support of Beijing and reportedly says he's ready to put denuclearization on the table. His country has been hit hard by international sanctions, and with more than 90% of North Korea's foreign trade, including its lifeblood oil, going through China, Kim needs their backing. For China, it wants to assert its role in any future negotiations on the Korean peninsula. Beijing's bottom line remains denuclearization, but it also wants to see Kim's regime stay intact. The alternative is unthinkable: a collapsed North Korea with millions of refugees flooding into the country. Or a reunified Korea with US influence stretching right up to its border. There's too much at stake for either side to walk away from each other.
With so much of the technology around us becoming smart, which basically means connected to the internet, some folks might view a day in the park as a day spent offline. Not at Al Mamzar Beach Park in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Its entry fee now includes all kinds of smart technology, and officials plan to extend this to the other major parks in Dubai.
Off the coast of Dubai, the city's newest emergency responder is put through its paces. Designed to quickly respond to drowning cases, the Smart Rescue drone contains a raft that automatically inflates when it touches the water. If a swimmer is seen in trouble, the drone is flown with a remote control to the person in need. It's equipped with a voice communication system that can speak to the victims and guide them on what to do until a lifeguard arrives. The rescue drone is just one of a number of high-tech innovations installed here at Al Mamzar Beach Park, the region's first smart park right here in Dubai. Developed by the Dubai municipality, the park is brimming with smart technologies designed to attract more visitors, providing a new way to modernize public spaces.
The government is looking forward to implement various technologies to move towards smart city. So having a smart park, this is one of the initiatives that Dubai municipalities is moving towards.
An irrigation system uses smart technologies and sensors that detect the exact amount of water the grass and plants need. It's already reduced water usage by 25%. A solar-powered system called the Smart Oasis converts humid air into drinkable fresh water. Every day, up to 90 liters of drinking water can be produced. And if your phone runs out of battery or data, solar-powered smart benches enable visitors to charge their electronic devices and connect to a wireless internet service.
We are enhancing people's experience through their day in the park by finding solutions for their problem, smart solutions.
The government says it's planning on making all parks in the city smart within the next 2 years to effectively improve the user experience. Through sustainable technologies and these initiatives, Dubai is revolutionizing the way services are being delivered in hopes of achieving its ambitious plan to become the smartest city in the world. Samuel Burke, CNN.
All cars drive. Some prototypes can fly. What about a car that walks? That's a concept that a South Korean car maker showed off at the Consumer Electronics Show. But why? Well, let's say you needed to climb a 5-foot wall or step over a 5-foot gap, but you wanted to stay in your car. Or maybe more practically, what about getting across rough ground after an earthquake? That's why the concept was developed. Maybe it'll see production, maybe it won't. Only time will tell if the idea has legs. True, some drivers are well traversed in technology, and some may think cars need to be willing and amble right out of the gate to step out of the traipsings of traditional driving and march forward in pace with a promenade to walking. Others may be more driven to just drive. I'm Carl Azus, and that's CNN.